Welcome to the Smart Connector, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs be the leader their ideal people love. Build your influence, wealth and success, attract others for all the right reasons, and become a smart connector, the architect of your amazing business and life. One thing we entrepreneurs have to come to terms with is that we can't achieve our best results alone. Even as a solopreneur, if you try to do everything yourself, you'll be limiting your growth. Even in the early stages of starting a business and when money is tight, you'll still need to put your trust in others. If you're unwilling to do this, you'll end up wasting your valuable time and struggling with things you're bad at or don't understand, which is going to slow you down and make things much harder for you than they need to be. So, a basic skill of every entrepreneur is the ability to get out there and build win-win relationships with complementary others. In the early days, this will come in the form of partnerships, outsourced, low-cost support, joint ventures, or other people who will support you while you add value to them. This works because it's leverage. It allows you to do more of the things you do best while letting them pick up the slack and do what they're great at. Relationships of all kinds expose you to business and financial risk as well as opportunity. So, in this episode, we're going to look at one of my favorite topics, people risk: how, when, why, and who to trust, how to deepen and extend a relationship through trust, and when to pull up the drawbridge and exit from a relationship that is likely to do you more harm than good. We're also going to look at why the right relationships are so critical in business and why trust matters most of all. A true people person lets others win, in fact, helps them win, and never looks to exploit or gain advantage at someone else's expense. Many entrepreneurs ditch the corporate life because they get fed up of having to engage with people they would never have chosen to associate with had they had a choice. However, when they become entrepreneurs, they're so used to reacting to others that they struggle to decide who and when to trust, as well as how to spot the inevitable time wasters and users who will drain their bank balance and time without a thought of what they could give in return. For those of you who don't know me well, I spent 20 years in media and entertainment in London, working for television companies and advertising agencies, before scaling and selling an international brand identity company to a US communications group. When I look back on those days, there are a handful of working relationships that I really enjoyed. Others made me literally shudder, and when I think about the behaviour I felt I had to tolerate, the politics I felt I had to put up with, and the games I had to play, I just feel, so sad. Of course, no one forced me to engage with politics or to put up with unacceptable behaviour or to play stupid games to elevate my status over others. But had I not done so, I feel that my career would have been much more brutal and short lived. That's just the way it was, and I'm sure that that's the way it still is. In those super competitive commercial media environments, as long as you have a boss, your first role is just to please them, which also means not threatening or challenging them or making them feel you're after their job. You also have to hold back the financial demands because even if you're shouldering all the responsibility and doing all the work they should be doing while they sit back and take it easy, you're not supposed to ask for compensation. Because the way they see it, the chief perk of reaching that position is exactly to have it that way. Fairly early on, I was moved up and out of that place where colleagues could also be friends. The media environments I worked in were high stakes and viciously competitive because big money was on the table. I wanted this because I was ambitious. I couldn't afford or even see the point of the just above broke salary of a junior team player. But of course, there was a price to pay in terms of the expectations loaded upon my shoulders, the hours I had to work, the indifference towards my personal or family life, and the willingness of others to stab me in the back if they felt they could gain some power and, of course, money as a result. Trust was in very short supply, and that really made me feel alone. All this selfishness and lack of care and consideration for others also goes on in the entrepreneurial world, of course. And actually, the stakes are even higher because if you engage with the wrong people as an entrepreneur, there's no salary at the end of the month to save you. But the wonderful thing is that you can have so much more choice around your relationships. You can choose to fill your life with people you trust, and your life will be so joyful as a result. Now, it's important to remember that some people can and will take as much as they can from you if you appear to be weak. And females in particular are often perceived to be soft targets, particularly in the male dominated worlds I move in, such as finance and property development. So I encourage you to put trust very high on your list when choosing your relationships as an entrepreneur. Take your time to get to know people and find a small, low stakes piece of work you can do together before escalating things. Don't jump in too quickly and watch what you're getting back. Are you contributing to someone else's wealth and success, and are they contributing to yours? Or are they draining your bank balance and eating into your time without creating the value you need? Here are my top 5 principles to help you build trust and meaningful connection with entrepreneurial others. Principle number 1 is empathy. Empathy is like emotional intelligence in action. It's the ability to relate to people as individuals and see a situation from their perspective as well as your own. The reason why this is important is because people need to feel heard and seen by you before they'll trust you. I interviewed Maria Ross, who is the author of a great book called The Empathy Edge, in one of my previous podcasts. So if you're interested in learning more about this topic, why not check it out? Principle number 2 is clarity. When you're getting to know others, you need to be clear on why you're there and what outcome you're aiming for. And if the other person has a different agenda, exploring this together is important before you move on to working together and committing significant time. Trust is always underpinned by your values, your goals, and your objectives, as well as theirs. As an entrepreneur, you need to identify these so that you can be clear and consistent always in your dealings with others. Principle number 3 is patience. Always strive to be patient and calm, especially if you're raising a difficult issue with others. This keeps you in control and ensures the other person will trust you. Pushing someone too hard or issuing unreasonable ultimatums is an act of dominance, and that destroys trust. At its worst, impatience can turn to temper tantrums, and blowing your top is the ultimate communications fail. It destroys trust, sometimes permanently, and always makes tricky situations worse. Principle number 4 is listening. Active listening requires you to step outside yourself and focus on another person for as long as it takes to truly appreciate their perspective. It helps in 2 ways. It tells that person that you're genuinely invested in the relationship with them, and it helps you get a clearer understanding of what they're all about. Active listening is really the very best form of information gathering there is. It breaks down assumptions and misinformation to give you true people intelligence. Principle number 5 involves control. You'll need to stop controlling and start trusting others if you want to get the best out of them. But conversely, you'll need to stay in control of yourself and deal with any breaches of trust quickly and firmly. Be courageous around this and resist your people pleasing tendencies. Tony Robbins says integrity is doing what's hard when no one's looking. And I would add to this and suggest that it's also saying what's hard when it won't be received well. To build the trust you need in the relationships that will take your business and life to its best level yet, you need to behave with integrity and lead the way in terms of being trustworthy yourself. We've talked about building relationships of trust for startups and early stage SMEs so far. Now, here are my top 4 principles for building trust in larger businesses with teams already in place. Step 1 is to establish an empowered culture, putting care and connection first. Lead by example, showing that your business is a place where courage, emotional openness, and independent thinking are rewarded, where mistakes are celebrated as a sign of trying, and blame, judgment, and power grabs are discouraged. If someone's struggling, invite them to come to you and help them resolve the issue. If they could have tackled it by themselves, tell them so they will feel empowered to deal with similar challenges in future. Help them share and implement their ideas. Give them goals and standards of behaviour that can be taught, measured, and evaluated. Demonstrate through your own conduct that the best route to success is helping others succeed. Step 2 is to always be ready for the tough conversations, and these are conversations that will lead to lasting positive change in your business. Discourage the cultural norm of nice and polite, which causes a lack of clarity, poor trust and engagement, and increases problematic behaviour. If someone isn't taking responsibility for their performance or is trying to shift the blame or accountability onto someone else, as a leader, you'll need to give it to them straight. This will build trust across the board, as employees or team members will feel a sense of protection from you if they know you're unwilling to tolerate bad or unethical practices in others. Step 3 is to learn about and work with other people's values. In small businesses, opportunities for career progression can be limited, but this may not be what matters to your employees. Perhaps they care more about flexible working hours, acquiring new skills, or the opportunity to earn high commissions. You won't know unless you ask them individually. So make it a habit to check in personally with others, as well as yourself, and ask them how you can serve them better. If it becomes all about the money, recognize that your leadership may be the issue. Sometimes, on the other hand, people are just not a good fit for you and your business anymore, so don't automatically pander to their demands. Instead, ask them what matters, and you'll often get to the truth. Step 4 is to get into the habit of bringing emotion into discussions, which encourages openness and helps others be open in turn. Learn to speak from the heart. This doesn't mean indiscriminately sharing everything about your personal life or seeking reassurance and comfort from your employees. It means sharing your feelings about problems that arise in the business or opportunities and telling others what you think both you and they can do to improve things. So here's the type of thing you could say. I feel sad both for myself and for you that your hard work and efforts weren't appreciated by our clients. But disappointments and setbacks are a valuable part of running any business. The lessons we've learned will make us more successful in future, so let's look together at how we could get it right next time. Every entrepreneur has ups and downs, and it's just part of life to come across bad apples from time to time. Stay cheerful and positive. Make sure you have the support you need, and build in time for rest and reflection so that you never have to take others' bad and untrustworthy behaviour to heart.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Connector podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, why not head over to janebaylor.com and order a copy of my free report on building your personal brand. I'd love to connect with you on social media. And finally, don't forget to like and subscribe to my podcast so that you never miss a show. Thanks for listening in, and see you soon.